They called him the mob's accountant, but Meyer Lanksy was far more than just a number cruncher. He was the brains behind the underworld's most sophisticated operations, a mastermind who built an empire that rivaled the Mafia itself. But who was this man really? And how did he become one of the most powerful figures in American organized crime? This is the untold story of Meyer Lanksy. Born Meyer Sucholyansky in 1902 in the Russian Empire, Lanksy was destined for a life of hardship. Fleeing anti-Semitic violence, his family emigrated to the United States, settling in New York's Lower East Side. It was there, amidst the chaos of immigrant life, that Lanksy first learned the art of survival. But while most of his peers turned to petty crime, Lansky's sharp mind sought something more. He was a boy with a vision, one that would change the face of organized crime forever. During his teenage years, Lanksy formed a close bond with Bugsy Siegel, another young, ambitious immigrant with a hunger for power. Together they created the Bugs and Meyer Mob, a ruthless gang known for its efficiency and brutality. The Bugs and Meyer Mob wasn't just another street gang. It was an organization that specialized in bootlegging, gambling, and extortion, laying the groundwork for what would become a criminal empire. It was also during this time that Lanksy had a fateful encounter with Lucky Luciano, a rising star in the Italian Mafia. Luciano initially tried to extort protection money from Lanksy, but the young gangster stood his ground. Impressed by Lansky's courage and intelligence, Luciano saw an opportunity rather than an enemy. This moment of defiance marked the beginning of a lifelong friendship and partnership that would reshape the American underworld. In the 1920s, as prohibition raged across the country, Lanksy saw opportunity where others saw chaos. Teaming up with childhood friend Bugsy Siegel, Lanksy quickly rose through the ranks of New York's criminal underworld. But he had bigger plans. In 1931, Lanksy played a pivotal role in creating the National Crime Syndicate, a coalition of Italian and Jewish mobsters that unified the American underworld. Lanksy wasn't just a participant. He was the architect, designing a criminal empire that operated like a multinational corporation, with influence in every major city across the country. Lansky's genius lay in his understanding of money, how to make it, how to launder it, and most importantly, how to hide it. But Lanksy wasn't just laundering money. He was building a gambling empire. He saw the immense potential in gambling long before Las Vegas became the hub it is today. Lanksy established gambling operations not only in Las Vegas but also in Florida and New Orleans. He pioneered the idea of corporate-style gambling enterprises, ensuring that his casinos were not only profitable, but also seemingly legitimate businesses. Lansky's operations were known for their efficiency and fairness, drawing in both the high rollers and the everyday man, who believed the odds were slightly better under Lansky's rules. In addition to his gambling operations in the US, Lanksy also turned his attention to Cuba. In the 1940s and 50s, he saw Cuba as an untapped gold mine. With the support of Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista, Lanksy took control of Havana's gambling industry, turning the city into a playground for the rich and powerful. He ensured the casinos were well-run, luxurious, and most importantly, free from the chaos and violence that often plagued American establishments. For a time, Lanksy was essentially the king of Cuba's underworld, overseeing operations that brought in millions of dollars annually. But this dream was short-lived. When Fidel Castro came to power in 1959, Lansky's empire in Cuba crumbled overnight. Lanksy was not only focused on building his empire, he also took a stand against rising fascism in America. In the late 1930s, the German-American Bund, a pro-Nazi organization, was gaining influence in the United States. Lanksy, a Jewish man who had seen the horrors of anti-Semitism firsthand, could not stand by and do nothing. He organized groups of Jewish mobsters to disrupt Bund meetings, using force to break up rallies and intimidate supporters. This was Lansky's way of fighting back against the hate that had driven his family from their homeland years before. But Lanksy was more than just a financial wizard. He was a strategist, a kingmaker, and at times, a ruthless enforcer. He had the ear of Mafia bosses like Lucky Luciano and Frank Costello, advising them on matters of business, politics, and war. Yet Lanksy managed to avoid the spotlight, rarely facing jail time despite his immense influence. Some say he even had connections within the US government, using his wealth and power to protect himself and his allies. But no empire lasts forever. As Lanksy grew older, the walls began to close in. The US government intensified its efforts to bring him down, and the Cuban Revolution wiped out much of his fortune. In 1970, he fled to Israel, seeking refuge under the law of return. But even there, he couldn't escape justice, eventually being deported back to the United States. Despite numerous attempts, the government could never pin him down for any major crimes. Lanksy died in 1983, a free man, his secrets buried with him, but his legacy lives on, an enduring symbol of the dark art of organized crime.